Hey, everybody, this is Seth. Welcome back to the Travel Smith Co. podcast. We are in the middle of a series called The Journey, just going step by step from prepping to traveling to staying and returning, all about your journey in one series with a few episodes. We've done a couple of episodes already. We've talked a little bit about the prep work involved and just have done another episode that was about the plane travel, any layovers that you had, and getting from your home to the location that you're going to be starting off in. And so today we're going to be talking about what it is like to arrive in style with wherever it is that you're going to be. And so before you have gotten to this point, before you have arrived, something that you're going to need to have looked up, as I mentioned in the prepping episode, is what are the visa rules for me? Do I have to have applied beforehand for this visa? Do I need to have cash to buy the visa on arrival? What are the rules for this? As I mentioned in that first episode in the series of the prep work, looking into what the options are, because frankly, if you can't get a visa, all of this has been for nothing, and you're just going to have to get on the next plane out and not going to see anything. So have in mind what your visa requirements are going to be. And if you need to buy one, make sure you have the cash. Maybe they are able to take a credit card or debit card. But knowing if you can just show up and get in, if you have to apply for something beforehand, or if you can stand in a line and buy a sticker to go in your passport, whatever the case may be for the specific destination that you're going to. So the number one rule for when you arrive is to be pleasant. So you have just spent who knows how many hours on this trip. Probably it feels like a month on an airplane, and now you're about to get off. You're eager to get off, and so is all 500 other people on the plane with you. So you're ready to get off the plane, go to immigration, get from the airport to your lodging, and just crash. So the plane has landed, you're on the tarmac, you're waiting to get off the plane, and you just want to be at your lodging. However, just keep in mind, everybody else is going through the same thing you are, and be pleasant. It doesn't cost anything but a little bit of effort, and it almost always makes everything better for you and everyone around you if you're pleasant throughout this whole process. So first things first, as you are getting ready to get off of the plane, have your stuff ready. You don't need to wait until the people in front of you have cleared out and stand up and start gathering all the stuff from the seat back and under the seat in front of you, the bin above your head. You don't need to wait until that to have all of your stuff gathered. Reattach your tear-off bag that we talked about with all of your stuff in it that you've been using on the flight. Have it gathered, organized, ready to go. Don't make people wait on you. Everyone else wants to get off the plane as much or more than you probably, and just don't make them wait on you. If everybody does this, everyone gets off the plane faster. It's a better experience. So once you've gotten off your plane, know in your mind what your bathroom schedule is going to be. There's an entirely good chance you've just spent 8 to 10 hours on a plane. Maybe you used the bathroom on the plane, maybe you didn't. Now, there are usually bathrooms at luggage collection. There's also usually bathrooms right outside of wherever the gate is that the plane goes to. If you can wait until luggage collection, I recommend doing that. Those first bathrooms are usually crowded with people who didn't use the restroom on the plane, and now there's a lot of times a line in those bathrooms and just swamped. It is a lot easier and can save you a lot of time if you can wait until you are at the luggage claim to use the restroom. So the most time efficient to do it that way. Also sometimes cleaner. If you have a lot of people going into the same one, it's not going to be as clean as one that has fewer people using it. So some people are going to go there as soon as they get off the plane. If you can hold it, I recommend holding it. So you get off the plane, and almost always one of the first things you're going to do is go through immigration if you're entering a new country. So a few rules for immigration. First off, don't have your phone out. There's no immigration in the world that wants you taking photos and doing stuff on your phone while you are at the immigration. Almost all of them have signs up saying no phones. So just leave your phone in your pocket. But do be mindful of your surroundings. Another reason to not have your phone out is because you can look and see what's going on around you. Each place is different. Sometimes entire families or couples or just friends that are traveling together all go through immigration together. Maybe it's a group of three guys who are traveling together and they go through together because they're staying together and doing this trip together. And maybe that specific spot wants groups to go together. There are times where they always only want individuals to go through. So I was going through immigration one time in Portugal, went up. My girlfriend went to the front of the line, went by herself to the immigration guy. He asked if she was traveling alone. She said no, she was with me. He waved me forward and said, "Oh, you're traveling together?" Yeah. He's like, "Oh, do you know the best way to lose your girlfriend when you're in Portugal? To have her go talk to strange men by herself. Like, you should be here with her. We'll check you in together." Stamp my passport, push me through. It was great. Wonderful immigration experience overall. Yeah, so every place has different customs and rules that they want you to go through individually or as a group. Now, if you're traveling with children, obviously the children aren't going to go by themselves, but just be mindful, look around and see what others are doing, seeing if they want groups or not. Just something to be keeping in mind as you are waiting for your turn at immigration. So also, whenever you're at immigration, have your passport ready. Be ready to step up and discuss the details with whatever they want to discuss. The immigration officer wants to know. A lot of times you're going to need to know your flight number, the city that you are coming from, and just some of that information that you're going to need. If you have that already to give them, it just makes the whole process go through a lot easier. And so be ready to tell immigration that. Know where you're going to stay, the address or the hotel. If you're staying at a hotel, know the address, know how long you're going to be there. Just having all that information ready whenever you get to have your turn, make that process a lot smoother for you. Whenever you do start talking with the immigration officer, be pleasant but not chatty. There's a lot of people that are trying to get through this. Everyone is stressed. Everyone is tired. Nobody wants to be there. They just want to get through. You could be the 200th person this immigration officer has spoken to that day. The person behind the counter probably has a lot of people who's not been very kind to them. So just don't make their day worse. Just general rule of thumb, if you can make their day not be worse, that's a good rule of thumb to follow whenever you're dealing with immigration. The people behind you just want to get on and through to their destination. You also want to get on and through. So be pleasant, but be boring. Answer the questions, have the information ready, and be ready to move on through immigration. Do keep in mind whenever you are speaking with immigration, something that is very important is you are a guest here. This is not your country. So be kind, be pleasant, be courteous, and give them the information that they want. Don't back talk them. You are the guest, so act like it. Two last things on the immigration process. One is a story. So depending on where you're going, there's very wild amount of difference, a very large amount of difference for what the immigration process is like from country to country. So you have everything all the way from digital immigration, which was one of the things I was going to talk about, where several countries have implemented where you don't even discuss anything with an immigration officer anymore. You put your passport up to a scanner, it does a scan of your face, and it lets you in, and they have that, a lot of it automated. So that's something that is starting to roll out in some places. However, that's not everywhere. And so depending on where you're going, you might have to be a lot more vigilant. I entered a country one time that was not quite as advanced in their technology. And so the immigration officer had passports of several people, was taking them, looking at them, putting the stamps in, doing everything and stacking them up. And I actually watched him take the passport from the woman in front of me and put it in line with the next several passports he was handling at once, and handed her passport to someone else on accident. He handed it to a woman who was just trying to get through and rushed and took the passport without thinking about it. And she ran off to luggage claim. And whenever it was the woman's turn, whose passport it was, she had to wait. She didn't have a passport anymore. They had to send someone after him. It was a whole big thing. So just keep in mind, where is your passport at all times? You're going to hand it over to immigration officer, but just be mindful of where it goes from there. They're not trying to do anything nefarious, but like I said, if they've seen 200 people already that day and just something, they put it in a pile and it gets handed to the wrong person by accident, if you are able to see that and catch it, it could make your day a lot better than if you've lost it. Thankfully, in this case, they were able to catch the woman down in the luggage claim. And so they were able to get everything sorted out. It ended up not being a big deal, but watch your passport whenever you are going through immigration. After immigration, you're going to go through luggage collection and then customs. So this is going to vary quite a bit place to place. However, most places, this is going to be a good place for a last bathroom visit. There might be some farther out in the terminal after you've exited after you've exited customs, depending on the airport setup. But most luggage collection spots have a restroom there. So that might be a good opportunity to do that if you need to use the restroom before you make it to whatever lodging you're going to be staying at. So also do a quick look around, see what is there. Sometimes this might be the place where you arrange for a car rental or a taxi pickup, or to get a local SIM card or other things that you need. So just look around in the luggage area and see what you need, if there is anything that you need, but be mindful of what's around there. Look around and see what there is. Now, do always have your address you're staying at, not only for immigration, but also for the luggage. I have had a time where I lost my luggage. Thankfully, I've not had that happen a lot. But when I did lose my luggage, I had to go fill out the form, and I had a address that was close, but not exact. And so we had to figure out, well, where is this luggage going to be sent to whenever we figure out where it's at, where do we send it? And so I was visiting some people. I only had some partial information. They told me that this was enough information to get me through, and it ended up working out mostly, but had to figure that out some as we were going. So do know where you're going to stay, not just for immigration, but also in case you lose luggage and they have to forward that to you at some point. Once you have collected your luggage, you're going to move on to customs. And this could vary anything from walking through a door that says nothing to declare to maybe throwing your bag up on a counter and having everything hand searched, just depending on where you're at. I've had both of those lots of times where you collect your luggage, wheel it out, nothing to declare. I've also been places where they search every single bag that comes through the airport. So just know beforehand what the rules are going to be for it. Also know beforehand if there are rules against certain items. So certain things that might not make sense to us, but for example, in Rwanda, you're not allowed to bring in plastic bags to the country. In Singapore, you're not allowed to have chewing gum. Almost every country has limits to how much cash you can have. So look to whatever specific location you're going to and see if there's any restrictions of things you should or should not bring in. It's very common. A lot of places you shouldn't bring knives or any tasers, any other type of weapons like that. But looking through and seeing what is normal and allowed for your destination before you get there can save a lot of awkwardness at customs if they look through and figure out that you have banned items with you. So once you have cleared customs, congratulations, you are now in the country. You are getting close to your lodging, but not quite there yet. You have moved on to the local transit. And so hopefully before this, you have researched, well, do you need a cab? Do you need an Uber? Are you going to take the metro? If you have done this research beforehand, you can save money, but then also you know if there's any scams or any other pitfalls that you need to avoid. Because whether it's an Uber, a taxi, a metro, a bus, walking, whatever it is, the prices and speed of those vary wildly. So know beforehand. Sometimes there's not options. Sometimes there's only one or two options, maybe just one option. So there was a time in Montenegro, the only way to get from the airport was to hire a car, to take a taxi. I did do a little research and found that for basically the same price, we were able to hire a private car to take us to the city that we were going to. So that the taxis would take you into the nearest town, and from there you could catch a bus to these other spots. But in this specific situation, it was actually basically the same price to hire a car to pick us up out of the airport and drop us off directly at our hostel that we were staying at. So not a normal situation whenever a private car is the same price as a bus or taxi or whatever the case may be, but knowing what your options are, knowing what you can do and what you should do, just that balancing of convenience versus price for that. And so there there are different options for different places. We've actually also been to an airport where we've been there twice, and we walked into town. It was just on the outskirts of a really small town and was maybe 3/4 of a mile or so from town, and the weather was nice, and so we walked into town from the airport. So just figuring out what the best local transit situation is going to be for you depending on where you are going at that time. Now, do be aware that when you are at airports, depending on the location, a lot of times there might be people offer to help you with bags there. Now, depending on where you're at, they may be airport staff that are just being friendly. They might also be unofficial people or official people, but are helping you with bags because they want tips. And some may be very insistent on helping you and very insistent on tips. So look up beforehand what to expect from that. We have mentioned WikiTravel before on some of our content. So that's a really good resource. They will tell you a lot of times, hey, be aware of this scam or the people that want to help you in this way but expect tips, how to interact with them. So either WikiTravel or some other research to know and be prepared for the specific situation that you're going to be in. And so you know how to deal with anybody who may be wanting to assist you. Maybe they're being friendly, or maybe they just want some money. So just something to be aware of. Have done that prep work before you go. If you are able to do that prep work beforehand, it'll save you a lot of confusion when you're there. So airport arrivals is a classic place for any local scammers to have an opportunity to make a little extra money. So not everyone is like this. Don't be afraid of everybody at an airport, but an airport is a rich environment for those who want to prey on the people that are unaware, people who don't know any better because they're foreigners, and you know they're foreigners because they're coming in from the airport. And so just be aware of that. There's a lot of people in these areas. It's kind of a high traffic area for people who want to make a little extra money, maybe upcharge you, whatever the case may be. Like I said, I don't want to give everybody the wrong idea. There's a lot of great people that are there, but that is something that does come up occasionally. So once you have figured out where you are going to go, how you are getting to your lodging, whether it's walking, metro, bus, taxi, Uber, private car, whatever the case may be, you're loaded up, you're getting ready to go there. Hopefully you have done the research, you've got your hotel or Airbnb or hostel lined up, keeping in mind what is the check-in procedure. What time of day am I getting there? If I'm going to a hotel but getting there at say 9 a.m., can I check in before to mid-afternoon? If I am going to an Airbnb or a hostel but I'm landing at 1 a.m., is somebody going to be there to let me in? So those are also things that you will need to have discussed with whoever you have made the reservations with prior to getting there, knowing, do I need to have a key code to get into my Airbnb? Do I need a booking reference to tell the host or whoever's at the check-in counter at the hotel or the hostel a booking reference for that? What do I need to have so that whenever I get there, one, make sure that there's somebody there. Two, make sure that I can actually get into my room, or when I can get in my room if I'm not able to, be able to know, and then know what information I need for that. And so if you're getting there, there's lots of variables to that depending on where you are staying. You might be able to get early check-in, it might be a late check-in. It all depends. Hostels and hotels a lot of times will have luggage storage where if you get in, say 10 a.m., they would maybe let you drop off your bags and tell you, hey, come back at 3 p.m. and your room will be ready, but we will hold on to your luggage for you. So if you go out and get a coffee or whatever, you don't have to carry everything with you. But that, once again, goes back to that prep work that I feel like I keep pounding on, but it really does make the trip go so much better if you know beforehand, I'm getting here at this time, but I know someone will be there. I can drop my bags off. I'll go get coffee and hang out for a couple hours until my room is ready and I can go get cleaned up. So just thinking through all of those things and then actually getting to your hotel, Airbnb, or hostel, whatever the case may be, checking in and being ready to start the rest of your adventure. So those are just a few tips, a few thoughts on ways to arrive in style. Hopefully a style that does not make you an obnoxious traveler, but someone that people are glad to have around, and that you have been a pleasure to get off the plane and get through immigration and not been a pain to people around you, and hopefully make it easier for you to enter into this new culture and this new experience in a really good way. So thank you guys for joining us. Look forward to having you with us again next time, and we'll see you then.